There's a dinosaur loose in D.C.
Well, the question then becomes, does this knowledge that he has, does that mean that he will be more Reagan-esque in his delivery, or is it like the velociraptor who tests the door in Jurassic Park and then is now figuring out how he can more successfully wreak havoc?
Right. Several people who have worked for him over the years have used the Jurassic Park analogy, so I think that seems...
Yes, I didn't make it up.
Right.
A Trumposaurus Rex is coming to town, and he's not coming alone. He's bringing Stegosaurus and Triceratops.
This is the first time that I can remember in modern history, at least, that I've been in the United States and following U.S. politics, where such an enormous number of business people have been motivated to come and work inside of the administration. I think that the Democrats would never have assembled a group of people like this. The United States economy is too complicated to be managed by theoreticians, by folks with random PhDs and absolutely no working experience in the real world. And when you bring those people in to oversee those PhDs, I think you probably get better outcomes.
Aren't you sick of a government run by politicians, professors, and economists? You know, people with no real-life experience. They don't know how things work. This time is different. We're bringing in men and women who know how to create things from scratch and build stuff within a budget. And if they don't get results, get fired. This is the most real American cabinet the country's ever seen. Elon Musk says we're about to experience the most dramatic transformation since the nation's founding. What a lucky time to be alive. Now people have come into Washington before promising change and have gotten chewed up and spit out. Washington's very hard to change. The founders devised a system of government of checks and balances, so change is slow. But this time just feels different. Here's why.
I would say is, you should never bet against Elon. And isn't there, we all know there's an extraordinary amount of waste, and it is unsustainable. There are two ways to resolve them. You can cut spending and cut waste, or you can raise taxes massively. And I take this election in the U.S. for standing for the proposition we're not going to go the European-style socialist route of having massive tax hikes. And then that suggests, you need to try something like the DOGE thing, and that's actually what is going to happen.
There's a muted panic rippling through D.C. Democrats are concerned that Trump's coming in with more experience and with a team that understands the levers of government in a way that can shape the government to their will. Some Democrats are starting to get DOGE curious. Trump and Elon are finding a wellspring of unexpected cooperation from Democrats in the House. Democrats are even pitching ideas like, how about we shrink Homeland Security? Well, how about it? Another Democrat has been pitching the idea of moving all federal agencies out of D.C. and sending them all over the country. Trump loves that idea. So do we. One Democrat admits there are so many inefficiencies, so many layers of government, and wants to help. We've actually never witnessed this many Democrats get on board with streamlining government, ever. And it's making bureaucrats really uncomfortable.
I had a conversation with the Deputy Secretary of Defense where we were talking about the $850 billion budget. And you would have thought, like, I asked what underwear she was wearing. Like, her response to being questioned about the lack of passing an audit on $850 billion. It was
multiple times.
Just, went like, how dare you? Do you even know what an audit is? And I'm like, I thought I did, but maybe I don't. But the arrogance of it was wild.
The Pentagon's not the only department getting audited. Every agency is getting audited. Biden spent $3 billion to build 93 electric mail trucks. That comes to $32 million per mail truck. You've seen a mail truck. They work fine. You get your mail, right? A Formula One race car doesn't cost $32 million, not even half that. This is why there's inflation. He's spending $32 million per mail truck. You know who got the contract? Oshkosh Defense, a defense contractor from Wisconsin, swing state. What's a defense contractor doing making electric mail trucks? Because they know how to win contracts and bilk the feds. That's why. This company, Oshkosh Defense, was supposed to build 60,000. They only built 93. The CEO, John Pfeiffer, says he's really happy with the progress. The guy's a Democrat donor, by the way. If you had given this contract to Musk, we'd be done by now with money left over. Biden spent $1 billion on DEI grants. What even is a DEI grant? What is it, reparations? Or the University of Honolulu has a DEI program. Here's $20 million. Blow it on a luau. Did the National Action Network get a DEI grant? Because you know Al applied for it. We found out $170 million went to DEI mental health training. What's that? Is that sensitivity training for whites or therapy sessions for blacks? We don't know. They won't tell us. $1 billion. This is why bacon's $11. And you know what happened this year? All these companies dropped their DEI programs. It was one big waste of $1 billion. DEI went bankrupt. Biden's been having a fire sale down at the border. He stopped building Trump's wall and started selling scrap metal for pennies on the dollar. You can bid for the wall leftovers. Bidding starts at $5 per steel bollard. Biden knows what Trump's going to need, and it's more steel to restart the wall. But he's selling it on Facebook Marketplace. So the taxpayers take a bath. And Trump has to pay full price next year, meaning you do. So they're selling border wall, and other Democrats are harboring illegal alien gangbangers, so Trump can't deport them. Here's the border czar.
They can sit back and watch us, which, I find incredible. You don't want to take public safety threats out of your community and help us. But there are laws on the books that we will prosecute. I've arrested U.S. citizens for harboring an alien in their home or place of employment. If I can do it to a citizen, why can't I do it to a politician who's going to actively get in our way, prevent us from doing our job?
So Jose from Venezuela, who's got a knack for sex trafficking, has face tattoos. Democrats are going to stop Tom Homan from picking that bad hombre up and putting him on a plane home? They're really going to do that. Primetime has a policy. If you're an illegal alien with a face tattoo, you're out. I don't even need to see your rap sheet. We know you have one. We have enough to worry about with drones flying all over the place. The sitting president hasn't even said a word. No surprise. But Trump just beat him to the punch. Quote, mystery drone sightings all over the country. Can this really be happening without our government's knowledge? I don't think so. Let the public know, and now. Otherwise, shoot them down. This isn't the Dark Ages. We're not just going to sit and lay back like peasants and let our rulers experiment on us and then lie to us about it. The government knows exactly what the drones are. They're behind them. Now that Trump's involved, the Pentagon's going to have to cough it up. The Biden administration doesn't even respect the Democrat senator from New Jersey enough to tell him what's going on in his own state.
There hasn't been enough transparency, letting people know what's happening. It's allowing a lot of potentially misinformation to spread, or at least fear.
You're the senator from New Jersey. There are more drones than stars in the sky. Go march into Langley and get some answers for your people. Come on, Booker. What are we all doing? We're just going to be staring into the sky with our iPhones and shotguns every night? There's suspicious drones blanketing an American state, but the media is upset that Trump is on the cover of a magazine.
Is this a joke? Did we get something wrong? Did someone scam us? Are we sure about this, producers? There is a convicted felon on the cover of Time magazine as the person of the year. Maybe we're being scammed.
It's not always been great people that have been on the cover of Time, right? It's been people like Joseph Stalin and Adolf Hitler and Khrushchev and Khomeini. So he's in that kind of company as well.
Let's remember who else has been given this title in years past in the same category. Adolf Hitler, Joseph Stalin, Ayatollah Khomeini, and Vladimir Putin. In fact, Stalin won the distinction twice, just like Trump. Regardless of the company he keeps, we know how important these magazine covers are to Trump.
Who does Joy Reid think should be Person of the Year? Who, Joy? Who? Give me a name. All the bartenders in D.C. are a little chagrined because they voted for Kamala, obviously. One says, in his experience, Democrats tip more and are generally lower maintenance guests than Democrats. So D.C. bartenders say Republicans are more generous to workers and aren't a bunch of drama queens. That sounds about right. So there's a silver lining. So what's happening now is Trump has the wind at its back, and no one's stepping up to challenge him.
I think it's humiliating and maddening that Donald Trump is basically the president right now. I mean, he is dominating coverage. He is being feted. He won. The party doesn't really know where to go. It doesn't have a leader right now stepping forward during this vacuum. And I think Trump's having a honeymoon. And, you know, good for him.
This weekend, Trump will be at the Army-Navy game in Philly, and he's bringing the whole crew. J.D. Vance, Hegseth, DeSantis, Daniel Penny. The sitting president usually flips the coin at the Army-Navy game, but we don't know where Joe Biden is.
Good news, in less than 2 months, the greatest political comeback in American history, it will be official. Joe Biden, along with his entire pathetic administration, they will be out of the White House, and not a moment, frankly, too soon. After trying to put his chief political rival in prison with a weaponized DOJ, Biden will hand over the keys to Donald Trump, whether they like it or not, and leave office as the worst, most corrupt, most incompetent, most divisive one-term president in modern American history. And his final act as commander-in-chief, well, is very much on brand. Instead of working to make the country a better place in his final days in office, Joe Biden is solely focused on sabotaging the incoming Trump administration while also making some very dumb and, frankly, even dangerous decisions. Now, that doesn't seem to make any sense at all to anybody, does it, except them? All vengeance. Now, for example, according to reports, Biden is now trying to quickly offload construction materials that you paid for that were to be used for the border wall that they stopped building. They're selling him at really low discount prices. What does that mean? That will force the incoming administration to spend more of your money to buy the new materials to complete the wall that Donald Trump says he's going to complete, and he will complete. He thinks he's hurting Trump, but all he's really doing here is wasting your money, all of it spiteful vengeance. At the same time, Biden just made it easier for illegal immigrants during his final weeks in office, allowing them to bypass in-person ICE check-ins with a new app. And according to reports, he is now letting in as many illegal immigrants, unvetted, of course, as possible to thwart the Trump agenda. What, more murderers, rapists, cartel members, gang members? Let's see. More drug dealers. Is that what he's doing? More terrorists? And now, not only is our southern border a disaster, but illegal crossings from Canada, they too are skyrocketing, and you have hundreds of terrorist suspects that have been arrested. Biden is not only leaving Trump with wide open borders, but he is creating the greatest national security nightmare danger to all of you, and that's waiting to happen. I hope it doesn't. Overseas, Biden is actively sabotaging Donald Trump's upcoming peace efforts. He knows that Trump wants negotiated settlements in the Middle East. He knows he wants them in Europe. He's supplying now Joe Biden is Ukraine with long-range missiles and escalating a conflict that pretty much has long been a stalemate. He also, by the way, pumped another $20 billion of your hard-earned tax dollars, your money, into Ukraine to help prolong this conflict. Now, since the fall of the Soviet Union, we have never been this close to a nuclear war. Even Vladimir Putin changed his nuclear policy because of the weapons that Joe Biden is giving Zelensky in Ukraine. But Democrats, they're also now attempting to pass legislation to limit Trump's authorization of America's nuclear arsenal. By the way, that would be clearly unconstitutional. And meanwhile, in the Middle East, the U.S. is currently targeting Syria with a barrage of airstrikes after U.S.-backed rebel groups toppled Assad, and there are now fears that ISIS might take power. Joe, take the next 38 days off, go to the beach. You're doing more harm than good. And back at home, Biden's chief of staff, well, is openly encouraging the administration in their last 38 days to spend as much money as possible in their final weeks in order to fund woke projects and leave Donald Trump with even more burdensome debt. But that's not Donald Trump's debt. That's your children's debt and your grandchildren's debt. And over at the DOJ, a watchdog was, quote, struck by the sheer magnitude of new hires as the Biden administration is trying to, quote, Trump-proof the DOJ by hiring permanent appointees to some federal positions. And, of course, the White House is trying to ram through federal judges at a record pace. And Joe is also now reportedly considering preemptive pardons for many of his friends in the Washington swamp. That would include people you know: Hillary Clinton, Liz Cheney, Dr. Anthony Fauci. Benny Thompson is begging to be on the list as well. Now, he and Liz Cheney were on the January 6th committee. Are they trying to hide something? Did they lie? Did they commit any crimes in that sham January 6th committee with a predetermined outcome? But we're supposed to believe that the people that raided Trump's house, spied on his communications, indicted him on, what, nearly 100 cooked up felonies as he was running for president. Now, all of a sudden, they're worried about a weaponized DOJ? Maybe they fear what they did to Donald Trump and others. Maybe they're fearing that will be done to them. I don't think it should be, but probably that's what they're thinking. The hypocrisy, duplicity from the Biden administration is almost, it's believable, but almost unbelievable. Now, this might be the most dishonest, the least transparent White House in American history. So the drone or flying object, or the thing that people describe as a big bus that sounds like a Harley, story that emerged this week is right on par. There are now hundreds, maybe even thousands of credible accounts. There's plenty of videos, plenty of pictures showing these very large, very sophisticated objects flying at very low altitudes over the U.S. In fact, New Jersey Senator Andy Kim went with local law enforcement last night. He filmed it himself. He put it on X. Quote, we saw a few that looked like they were moving in small clusters of 2 to 4. Now, we clearly saw several that would move horizontally and then immediately switch back in the opposite direction in maneuvers that planes just can't do. Then he continued, quote, officers said that they tried to get a closer, look with a helicopter, but that the drones would turn off their lights and go dark if approached. Even, well, he's not the smartest guy in the world, but even their governor in New Jersey finally reached out to the Biden administration and demanded more concrete information. The first sighting was November the 18th, but so far the Biden White House is still pretending not to have any answers at all whatsoever, and even suggested that nothing is actually happening. Make no mistake, something's going on. The administration, in all likelihood, knows what it is, and if they don't know, that would trouble me even more. That would be downright scary. And if they're lying, well, that would just be par for the course. So let's assume they're lying, to our faces because, well, they don't value or respect the American people. And that is exactly why Democrats got wiped out in November and why Biden is now considered probably the worst president in the modern era.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.